Hello there, this video is about patriotism. Stick around to the end and take the Flower of Scotland test, if you will. See if you've got any Scottish blood in you. My pals in England used to make fun of me, and they would, if I get mad at them for stealing a cookie or something, they would say, "You can take my freedom, but you'll never take my cookie." Hope you like the video. Hi there YouTube, I want to make a video today about patriotism. I hope you'll indulge me and let me ramble on for a second here. It's Remembrance Week, and obviously it goes without saying that we're always grateful for the people that have given us our freedom. So I'd like to thank those people that did that, and the ones that are currently serving. I notice in America they're very patriotic and very thoughtful towards their ex-servicemen and their current servicemen. If you've been in the military, a lot of restaurants will let you eat for free on that day, you know, and they put flags out and they really go all out for patriotism. I identify with that because a couple of reasons. I've got kids who have been raised here, and I've got grandkids who live here, and there's a connection there. I've spent a lot of time living here myself, and I'm very proud of the patriotism, and I have a lot of respect for the patriotism that Americans have for their country. One of the reasons that I feel that way is because it's the same in Scotland. We're a very, very patriotic country. Probably, I think we've got Americans beat when it comes to patriotism, you know. You know, the whole freedom thing, you know, if you've seen Braveheart, you know, that's a big massive thing that Mel Gibson shouts out at the top of his voice, that I used to get people would make fun of me in that when I worked in London. You know, if I ever get mad or get angry or frustrated, they would all shout at me, "Ah, freedom!" You know. So there's that. But also this week there was another event that for Scottish people was massive. Scotland were playing against Moldova in a World Cup qualifying game, which they had to win. If they win it, they get through to the next qualifying stage to get to the World Cup. So now, I played football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from, same game, when I was a teenager. So I grew up in Patna in the west coast of Scotland, a little tiny town, village really. We had nothing, you know. It was I think when the video games came out, it was the Atari thing with the little thing that would hit a ball bouncing back and forward, you know. That was the extent of video games. So all we had was a ball, and we'd go out and we'd play all day, all night. And I sound like an old man when I'm saying this, but that's what we did. We played, when we got off the school bus, we played till the school bell went. When it was playtime, we'd play at playtime. After dinner, we'd scoff our dinner down so that we could play again. Play at night time till it was dark. After dark, you know, we just played all the time. So because we played in a village, the Boys Brigade there had entered us into a tournament. The Boys Brigade's a bit like the Scouts type of thing. So we were playing in this tournament, the West of Scotland tournament, and we were good. I was captain of our Boys Brigade team, and we went to the West of Scotland Cup final, and the local village had 3 buses come down with all the folk to support their little teenage boys, and we win 3-1. And I was captain and got to walk up and lift the cup. Big moment in a teenage boy's life. And we got to go back to the village and be paraded around the streets of our little village in the back of the coal truck. Glory days, as Bruce Springsteen says. But that was just minuscule compared to what happened at the Scotland game. So there's a young kid on there, young Patterson, he's playing. He's 20 years old. Scotland have to win, and he gets the ball and he cuts inside the box and he runs past a couple of players and gets it onto his left foot and he buries it into the corner of the net. And the euphoria in that young boy's face as he's just scored a goal for his country to qualify them for the World Cup, you just cannot, being from where I'm from, you can't imagine what that would feel like. If you've played, you can kind of get it, and if you're from there, you can kind of get it, but his facial expression after he scores this goal, you know, I think if he had the choice of winning the lottery or having that experience, he would probably take that experience. So I'm watching this game with my son Daniel. He's a bit like my dad. My dad's a nutcase when it comes to sports. He's very passionate about it. I remember taking my kids to watch an A United game with my dad when they were just young teenagers, and they'd never heard their grandpa swearing. And they'd heard a generation's worth of swearing at that game. But yeah, you know, and if anybody cuts my dad up in traffic, he's still got that Braveheart thing where he'll chase them down and want to put the world right with them. And my son Daniel's a bit like that. And I've tried to be older and a bit more subdued, and it works for me most of the time until I'm watching Scotland playing. And when that kid rocketed that ball into the net, I came alive. I felt something in my belly that I haven't felt for ages, and we went absolutely psycho when Scotland scored that goal. It was just incredible. Supporting Scotland in the football is a bit of a roller coaster, because a lot of times we let ourselves down right at the end of the game. We do well a lot and then can be misfortunate at the end. However, since watching that game and celebrating with my son when we win, I've started over the weekend flicking through old Scotland games. Scotland is an absolutely... You okay? Scotland is an absolutely gorgeous place, and I'm proud that I'm from there. Being from Scotland is, you know, everywhere you go. If I was a more sociable person and would talk to people rather than try to avoid all human contact when I'm in public with folk, I would get it every day. People will say, "Hey, where are you from? I like your accent. Where are you from?" And once they figure out that you're not from Australia and you tell them you're from Scotland, they identify with you instantly. Oh, and probably half of them all say, "Oh, I'm Scottish." And I always think I could tell that by your Texas accent there, but they mean 2 or 3 generations back, or maybe 4 or 5, you know, but they still like to cling to that ancestry. I'm proud that I'm from there. I'm proud that, well, are we the greatest, most powerful nation in the world? Probably not. Are we the greatest footballing nation? Probably not. Have we got some of the most spectacular scenery in the planet? Most definitely. Some of the nicest people ever on the face of the planet? 100% yes. You know, Scottish people get a rumoured reputation that we're a bit tight. I've never found that to be the case. Very generous people, kind, good-hearted. You know, some of these international football games that you see on TV where the visiting fans go crazy and they fight with the locals, that's not us. We don't do that. We'll be over there, most probably drunk, before the game. They'll be having a great time. During the game, they will be fiercely supporting their country, and after the game they'll be having another beer with the losing supporters, and there's a good ambassadorship from Scottish supporters. They're very well behaved. They won't have a good time, but they're very well behaved. I used to have buses in Scotland, and we would take supporters buses to the games, and I used to think it was a privilege. John Grigger, that runs the Ali MacLeod's Tartan Army out of Ayr, he would book us, and you know, you're taking these guys there, they're all get the Scotland strips on, and you feel like you're driving a bus with another 50 of your brothers on this bus heading into battle to support your country. We are patriotic people. I like being from there. Every time I'm there, we go up the west coast of Scotland, up past Loch Lomond, and it always gets me. It's spectacular, it's incredible, and the people are fantastic, and it's a privilege to be born there and to be raised there. My test for you is this. Incidentally, that guy that was telling you about, John Grigger, he goes to every single Scotland game. There's not a Scotland game on the planet that he does not go and support. And there's a band of them that travel around. I'd love to have the time to do that, or have the commitment to do it. I respect them for that. But the patriotism that people from Scotland have, you know, yeah, if you've ever seen So I Married an Axe Murderer, where Mike Myers makes fun of the Scottish guy who's got the Scotland Wall of Fame and, you know, dancing about to the Bay City Rollers. That's us. That is us. But here's something as a test for you. And you don't need to do your genealogy or your family tree to see if you've got Scottish heritage. You need to go into YouTube and you need to put in Amy MacDonald singing Flower of Scotland at Hampden Park. And when you get it, watch it in your TV, big TV. Don't watch it on an iPhone, unless it's hooked to big speakers. But watch her singing that song, and her face when she's singing it, the crowd when they're singing it, listen to the words, and the atmosphere that is at a Scotland game. It's incredible. My dad took me to my first Scotland game when I was about 13 years old and stood in the terraces there with all these men, and it was electrifying. I just can't describe what it's like. But you know, I've been listening to some country music lately, and there's an Alan Jackson song called Where I Come From, and one of the lines that are in it says, where I come from they like cornbread and chicken. Well, where I come from we like fish suppers and iron brew. We've got Tunnock's tea cakes, Tunnock's caramel wafers, sticky toffee pudding. The food in Scotland, this is a plug for Scotland. Get yourself a ticket booked and go spend your money in the UK. Put it into Scotland, okay? Thanks for indulging an old patriotic guy here. Thanks for letting me talk. Thank you.